You will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The president of the African Development Bank Group, Sidi Wild Tah, has expressed the group's interest in transferring Algeria's development experience to other African countries. The Arab Inter-Parliamentary Union has condemned the serious violations committed by the Israeli occupation and Jewish settlers against the Palestinian people and religious sites. And the UN has described the situation of displaced civilians in North Darfur state in Sudan as indescribable, noting that more than half of the survivors are children. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. First in our news, the President of the Republic, Massaء Tebboune, has chaired a meeting of the Council of Ministers which examined presentations related to upgrading administrative districts in the high plateaus and the south of the country to fully authorized or fully fledged provinces, in addition to monitoring projects related to several sectors of activity. Masoud Sharfi has more details in this report.
The President of the Republic issued several key directives, notably an investigation into the fires that struck multiple provinces simultaneously. He also instructed the Minister of Finance to prepare plans to raise both the minimum wage and the unemployment allowance and emphasized the need for continuous security and cleanliness monitoring in public spaces nationwide. He also insisted that owners of public and private transport vehicles comply with cleanliness standards in all cities, especially in Algiers and tourist-oriented provinces. The Council of Ministers approved upgrading 11 administrative districts in the high plateaus and the south to full-fledged provinces, with the President instructing the immediate completion of related administrative procedures. He also ordered preparations for the inauguration of the new Tindouf-Bachar railway line in January 2026. Regarding the Rajbilak mine, the President directed that local exploitation of its iron ore begin in early 2026, urged intensified efforts to finalize this strategic project, and approved new processing plants in Tindouf-Bachar and Naama, as well as the delivery of the first ore shipment to Tusaili, Oran in 2026. The Council further approved the construction of a 500-bed university hospital in Constantine and the acquisition of specialized equipment for the Digital Development Support Institution before adopting several appointment and dismissal decree at the close of the meeting.
And the President of the African Development Bank Group, ADB, Sidi Wild Tah, has expressed the group's interest in transferring Algeria's development experience to other countries on the continent. In a statement to the press following his meeting with the President of the Republic, Massaء Tebboune, Mr. Wild Tah explained that the meeting provided an opportunity to highlight the cooperation prospects between African Development Bank and Algeria. Let's listen to him.
The meeting was an opportunity to express my deep gratitude to His Excellency for the strong support I received when I was nominated by the Mauritanian Islamic Republic to preside over the African Development Bank. Algeria's support since the beginning was strong and crucial. The meeting was also an opportunity to present the program of the African Development Bank, notably in terms of cooperation prospects with Algeria. It concerns Algeria's acceptance of the African Bank as the partner to implement the Ghardaya Lagwat Mnia railway project. The project is of major importance not only for Algeria but also for Africa, as it will link the Sahel countries to the Mediterranean, which will ease the transportation of goods and people. It was also an opportunity to express the African Bank's appreciation of the high level of development in Algeria and the growing prospects to transfer Algeria's experience in different fields, notably housing and water desalination, among others, to African countries. The African Development Bank is proud of the strong support it has from Algeria.
That was the statement of the President of the African Development Bank, ADB, Sidi Wild Tah, following his meeting with the President of the Republic, Massaء Tebboune. And the Minister of the Interior, Local Authorities and Transport, Said, has received the President of the African Development Bank Group, Sidi Wilta, with whom he discussed ways to strengthen partnership between Algeria and the African Development Bank Group. The two sides addressed key areas of cooperation and partnership in supporting national efforts to develop vital sectors, particularly the transport sector and railway and port infrastructure. They also reviewed prospects for joint projects between Algeria and the African Development Bank. During the meeting, Mr. Said highlighted the important national projects underway under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, such as the construction of desalination plants along the national coastline as part of efforts to achieve water security, as well as the completion of 950 kilometers of railway lines deep in the Sahara, relying on national expertise. They also discussed prospects for mining exploitation, went over the significant investment launched by the state to achieve food security, considering that cooperation with the African Development Bank will constitute qualitative support for this dynamic and response to the approach of strengthening African integration. For his part, Mr. Wilta praised the national dynamism marking Algeria's economy in recent years, notably the major investments undertaken by Algeria and their promising development pace, stressing the importance of sharing these experiences with other African countries in light of the common challenges. And the Minister of State, Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, Mohamed Arqab, has received at the ministry headquarters the President of the African Development Bank ADB Group, Dr. Sidi Wilta, and his companion delegation. Asya Bakar has more details.
Discussions focused on ways and means to strengthen cooperation between Algeria and the African Development Bank Group, particularly in priority areas such as the development of the oil and gas industries and processing and transformation of mineral resources, seawater desalination projects, and the financing and support of continental-scale infrastructure projects. Mr. Arqab also presented the development programs managed by the sector and emphasized Algeria's commitment to strengthening intra-African cooperation in the areas of sustainable energy, increasing production capacity and regional interconnection. He also highlighted Algeria's readiness to share its expertise in hydrocarbon exploration and processing, geological studies and training, and the management of major projects. For his part, Mr. Sidi Wilta praised Algeria's development vision under the leadership of President Abdelmajid Tebboune and the progress Algeria is achieving in the economic and social fields, as well as its regional role on the African continent. He affirmed the bank's readiness to support Algeria in financing its strategic projects and transferring its expertise to other countries on the continent. The President of the African Development Bank Group indicated the bank's commitment to deepening bilateral partnerships and supporting all initiatives aimed at promoting economic integration and shared development on the African continent.
And the Secretary General of the Ministry of Industry, Mr. Khardin Ben Issa, has emphasized in Algiers the determination of the Algerian side to work together with Vietnam to develop bilateral relations and open new prospects suited to the ongoing economic transformation, highlighting the achievements of both countries in several areas of cooperation and partnership. Musa'ad Sharfi has more.
During a speech delivered at the 13th session of the Algerian-Vietnamese Joint Commission for Economic, Scientific and Technical Cooperation, which he co-chaired with the Vietnamese Vice Minister of Construction, Mr. Nguyen Tuong Van, Mr. Ben Issa indicated that the Algerian side aspired to extend bilateral cooperation to other sectors such as industry, renewable energies, scientific research and technological development, digitization, startups, tourism and higher education. He said this session is an opportunity to boost economic and scientific partnerships and develop medium and long-term cooperation programs between the two countries, noting that it comes ahead of the Vietnamese Prime Minister's visit to Algeria November 18th to 20th, which will mark an important step in strengthening bilateral cooperation through the agreements and memoranda of understanding to be signed. For his part, the Vietnamese Vice Minister of Construction emphasized the importance of strengthening bilateral cooperation to raise the partnership between the two countries to higher levels. He described cooperation as encouraging, highlighted Algeria as a key partner, and affirmed Vietnam's readiness to deepen ties, noting successful projects like Petro-Vietnam Sonatrach and growing investment interest across multiple sectors. The session involves 5 working groups of experts from both countries representing multiple ministries and institutions to assess Algeria-Vietnam cooperation and explore ways to strengthen the legal framework and support future programs. It is worth recalling that the 12th session of the Algerian-Vietnamese Joint Commission was held in October 2023 in Hanoi.
And the Speaker of the Arab Parliament, Mohammed bin Ahmed Al-Yamahi, has called for the consolidation of the values of tolerance, the activation of legislation criminalizing extremism and hate speech, the promotion of dialogue and support for international efforts aimed at spreading a culture of peace. In a statement issued on the occasion of the International Day for Tolerance, observed annually on November 16, Al-Yamahi affirmed the Arab Parliament's unwavering support for the values of tolerance and peaceful coexistence as a fundamental pillar of security and social peace in the Arab region and the world as a whole. He emphasized that tolerance is a strategic choice and an urgent necessity for confronting current challenges, foremost among which extremism, hate speech, and incitement, thereby contributing to building more stable and cohesive societies. Al-Yamahi condemned on the occasion the pioneering Arab initiatives in promoting a culture of tolerance and moderation and fostering dialogue among different cultures and religions, urging for continued efforts to consolidate the values of tolerance and activate legislation that criminalize incitement and racism and encourage respect for religions, cultural and intellectual diversity within societies, and calling on the international community to assume its responsibilities in confronting hate speech and rejecting intolerance and to work together for a more just and tolerant world. And the Arab Interparliamentary Union expressed its condemnation and denunciation of the continued serious violations perpetrated by the Zionist occupation and its extreme settlers against the Palestinian people and religious sites, and which constitute a flagrant breach of international law and resolutions of international legitimacy. In a statement signed by its president, the Speaker of the National People's Assembly, Mr. Ibrahim Boughali, the Arab Interparliamentary Union strongly condemned the storming of the Al-Aqsa Mosque Esplanade by Zionist occupation forces and extremist groups, in addition to the provocations against worshippers and the desecration of the holy site. The Union affirmed in this regard that these repeated acts of aggression fuel cycles of violence and extremism and undermine all opportunities for achieving a just and lasting peace in the region, stressing the need to compel the Zionist occupation authorities to abide by all signed agreements, particularly the Gaza agreement reached in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, as it represents a fundamental pillar for maintaining calm and reducing escalation. 2 Palestinians have been killed by Israeli occupation forces in a new violation of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. Wafa news agency reported that a child was killed by Israeli army fire in the Shuja'iyya neighborhood east of Gaza City, and another Palestinian was killed by Israeli drone fire in the Atatra area north of the Gaza Strip. This came as the Israeli occupation authorities issued demolition notices today for a number of Palestinian homes in the villages of Deir Ibzi and Ain Ariq, west of Ramallah. Security sources told the Wafa news agency that Israeli forces raided the villages of Deir Ibzi and Ain Ariq and delivered demolition notices to several homes in the area. Meanwhile, several thousand people gathered on Sunday at Brussels North Station in a demonstration in solidarity with Palestine, organized mainly by the Belgian Palestinian Association. And the UN Security Council is set to vote later today on a U.S. draft resolution bolstering U.S. President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan, especially the deployment of an international force, as Washington warns that a failure to act could lead to renewed fighting. The draft, which has been revised several times as a result of the high-stakes negotiations, endorses the plan, which allowed for a fragile ceasefire between Israel and Hamas to take hold on October 10 in the genocide-ravaged Palestinian territory. The Gaza Strip has been largely reduced to rubble after 2 years of genocidal war perpetrated by Israel since October 7, 2023 against innocent Palestinians in Gaza. And to Africa now, where the UN Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher has described the situation of displaced civilians in North Darfur state in Sudan as indescribable, noting that more than half of the survivors are children. Asya Bakar reports.
The UN humanitarian agency said Mr. Fletcher had visited the region where he met and spoke with women who had fled Al-Fashir a few weeks ago. He said the displaced people are witnessing unimaginable violence, stressing that the world must do better to protect them. Meanwhile, the Deputy Executive Director of the World Food Programme has expressed outrage at the horrific atrocities perpetrated in Al-Fashir, Sudan, calling for urgent action to prevent such catastrophes elsewhere. Speaking from Addis Ababa, he said that what happened in Al-Fashir was predictable and should have been prevented. Following his week-long visit to Port Sudan and Khartoum, the WFP official highlighted the urgent humanitarian needs across the country, stressing that the international community must intervene. He said the needs in the country are immense and diverse, and said that they are joining forces to scale up aid, save lives, and restore livelihoods and dignity. He insisted that the siege must be lifted immediately to stop the famine. He said those suffering from hunger are not only dying from hunger, but also from diseases linked to a lack of water and sanitation.
And finally, the chairperson of the African Union, Mohamed Ali Yusuf, has welcomed the signing of the Doha framework for a comprehensive peace agreement between the government of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, and the M23 rebel movement. He stated that this historic step represents significant progress towards restoring stability, rebuilding trust, and resolving the root causes of the conflict in eastern DRC. With this, we come to the end of this news bulletin. Time now for our weekly programs. And as we say always, you can follow our programs on our digital platforms, Facebook, X platform, and also my Algerian radio application. As for me, I'll meet you again tomorrow. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to our weekly program devoted